Hi there, Rockets. This is Miss Clarkson again, coming to you today to talk about the MYP personal project proposal for this year. I hope that you're starting to think about project ideas that you're excited about. If you remember, last week in advisory, we talked about how to get started with generating and developing ideas for the project. Now that you've had some time to think about your interests, we're going to try to get more specific and turn that interest into an actual project goal. At this point in the process, it's totally fine if your ideas change. The important thing here is that you eventually figure out what interests you and that you can turn that into an achievable goal. In just a moment, you should pause this video and take a moment to explore the Canvas classroom. You'll notice that the classroom is organized into modules, which will track the progress of the personal project. Right now, you will only see resources for the initial phases of the project, but additional modules will be added over time. You will also find that there is a brief video tour linked on the slide in this presentation. Pause the video now and take a moment to explore the classroom. When you come back, we'll discuss the content of the personal project proposal. Now that you have had a chance to explore the Canvas classroom, let's take a look at the content of the personal project proposal. The primary jobs of the proposal are to show your interest in the topic and to help you narrow down an appropriate goal for your project. Remember last week when we talked about these 4 criteria for successful personal project goals? Your goal in the project needs to be accessible, believable, challenging, and desirable. In the proposal, you'll be asked some questions to help you think about whether your project meets these criteria and to help you develop depth in your project. This really is a project that is more about process than it is about what you end up creating in the end. Take a moment to open the proposal assignment on your Canvas classroom. The proposal has 2 parts. The first is focusing on your goal and how you will measure its success. The second is focusing on why you want to explore the topic. Essentially, what is your personal interest and knowledge about this topic, and how will you use that prior knowledge to help you stay motivated? This is the personal project proposal document. In the first question, you're asked what your current goal is. This will definitely change over time. Be as specific as you can at this point. Next, you'll select a global context. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Finally, you're asked about how you plan to measure your goal. This is really the accessible criterion for a successful goal. If you want to learn something, how will you show it? If you want to create something, how will you measure the success of that creation? The second part of the document asks about your interest in this topic. I can't say enough about this. You need to focus on something you like. Things are difficult enough right now. Let this be something you want to do. Let it be a break from your regular routine. Lastly, you need to think about what research you need to do in order to be successful in your project. Research, which is very broadly defined in this case, watching YouTube videos to learn how to do something is research. Interviewing people you know is also research. But simply doing something is not sufficient for the project. You do need to consult other sources of information. If it doesn't require research, it's not a personal project. It's a hobby. The second page of the document provides more information about the MYP global contexts. The guiding questions and possible explorations will be important in narrowing down your project goal. Essentially, you'll be looking at these explorations in the bullet points to help you narrow down your topic. Returning to the slides for today, we're going to learn a little bit more about the 6 global contexts. As I mentioned before, the global contexts are a set of lenses. They affect the way you see your project's topic rather than what it is. For example, you could look at something like family history from a purely historical perspective, but you could also represent it artistically or in terms of how scientific advances have changed your family's lives. Each of those would be a different lens. This quote is helpful in explaining how the global contexts work. Quote, "We cannot see what is out there merely by looking around. Everything depends on the lenses through which we view the world. By putting on new lenses, we can see things that would otherwise remain invisible." This was said by sociologist C. Wright Mills in his book, The Sociological Imagination. In his case, he was talking about how sociologists, who study human organizations and societies, apply different lenses when studying the way people interact. The global contexts work much the same way. They help us see broad topics in more specific ways, and they can also connect your topic to a more significant idea beyond itself. Ultimately, they encourage you to think more deeply about your project topic. You can click on this graphic here to learn more about the global contexts. In your personal project, you'll be using the global contexts to narrow down your topic. If you want to create a piece of artwork, is your goal to learn more about the history of art? Is it to develop an appreciation for how art can represent scientific concepts? Or is it to use art to inspire social change and advocate for justice? Each of these would be a different global context. You can use the explorations, the bullet points on the proposal document, to help you choose an appropriate context for your project. Sometimes it's helpful to see a bunch of examples of these projects in action. If you click on this graphic, you will see a school's example of student projects organized by global contexts. So now it's time to get started on that proposal. You'll be working on the assignment in the Personal Project Canvas classroom. Make sure to turn it in when you're done, but not before. If your ideas change, you want to be able to edit it. If you need help generating ideas, start by looking at the examples of projects organized by global contexts that I mentioned earlier. Then, go back and take another look at your brainstorming materials from last week. And again, if you end up changing your mind, that's okay. Sometimes the process of writing the proposal helps to clarify your thinking about what you want to do.